Good day, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Briareos Kerensky and welcome to the review of Nayuta no Kiseki Kai, the most recent port to a modern console of one of Falcom's old titles. The original Nayuta no Kiseki was released on the PSP in 2012, and while it bears the Kiseki name, making it part of the Trails series, it doesn't take place in Zemuria and is not connected to other Kiseki games, featuring brand new characters and locations. And unlike other Trails and even Ys games, Nayuta no Kiseki is a relatively small title, with only one playable character, a cast that barely gets to double digits, and a limited set of locations to explore. But do not mistake this for a throwaway game or something like that. Nayuta Kai might be a minor title not as grand as Trails in the Sky, but it's still a lovely crafted game that is undoubtedly Falcom in spirit and execution. The game takes place on Renmant Island, where our protagonist Nayuta lives with his sister Eartha and his friend Signa, along other NPCs. Life is peaceful and monotone, until a giant tower falls from the sky near the island. Nayuta and Signa decide to explore it, and there rescue a tiny fairy-like girl named Noi. Brought back to health, Noi reveals she's trying to save Crea, another girl who's stuck in an endless sleep in the Star Garden. The two boys decide to help Noi, though only Nayuta is playable. Signa is gone for most of the game and still won't be playable when he returns. The story will eventually take Nayuta to save the world, something you can figure out exactly when the main bad guy makes his entrance, and there are two major plot twists that you can see from a mile away. The story might be cliched, but all characters are charming and well-defined, with not overly long expository cutscenes or useless fetch quests to pad out the running time. Going straight for story completion without 100%ing all the stages and side quests take around 15 hours, and the epilogue adds around 2 hours to that figure. Completing the epilogue opens up a time attack mode and, as usual for Falcom games, a new Game Plus option. Nayuta's village on Renmant Island acts as the main hub for the game, where all relevant NPCs and shops are. Close to Nayuta's house lies the portal to the Star Garden, which is where the action takes place. The Star Garden is composed by 4 islands, each representing a season. The goal of each island is to go through its stages to free the governing spirit and defeat the local boss. After having done so, you can change the season of a completed island, increasing its difficulty and giving a new set of secondary objectives to each stage. Stages themselves have the same layout, but they will feature different enemies and environmental hazards. For example, in summer a stage will be covered in smoldering lava, while in autumn the lava will be replaced by harmless sand that will only slow Nayuta down. Some sections of the stage will be accessible in different ways or completely cordoned off. Islands have their normal versions and 2 variations, and one of those is only available for the epilogue. Even if stages feature the same layout, the different graphical styles, changing environmental hazards, enemies and traversable paths make them feel fresh and different enough to warrant multiple journeys. All the normal stages have 1 or 2 treasure chests to uncover, 3 large Mira crystals to find, and 1 special mission to complete, such as defeating a certain number of enemies, don't fall into pits, or don't use healing items. These are secondary objectives, and completing them will grant Nayuta a star on a progression card. Enough stars, and Nayuta will be able to expand his combat techniques. Stages start off linear and with not too many obstacles, and difficulty ramps up nicely and progressively. Nayuta Kai is not the hardest game ever, and in normal difficulty I was able to easily defeat stages with a couple of levels less than recommended, including bosses. This is partially offset by the small amount of restorative items at hand. Healing potions can be found at random in stages, but they are rare and don't do much. Healing, in perfect Falcom tradition, is done through meals, prepared beforehand by Eartha, and Nayuta can carry only as many meal boxes he has.
お弁当作る？たくさん食べてね。
Nayuta can wield two types of weapons, light and heavy, that will change attack power, swing speed and recovery time. For most of the game I used light weapons only, though heavy weapons did make a few bosses go down faster. During stages there is very little incentive in using heavy weapons, however, as it's better to keep mobile and quickly dash away from danger after a few swings. Noi follows Nayuta around and can fire ranged spells. Additional spells and spell slots are gained throughout the game, and all spells can be leveled up by using them. However, Noi takes some time to recharge them, so you can't really go around constantly firing away. Some enemies and most bosses take risible damage from spells or are completely immune, so Nayuta's sword will be your main offensive method. Spells also have secondary effects like paralysis and freeze, and some will be way more useful than others. The combat system features a combo counter, and higher it goes, the more bonuses Nayuta and Noi will get. Each of the four governing spirits will also grant Noi a stage traversal power, like the ability to destroy large objects or to hang on to floating gears. Some of these powers are really fun to use, though those that require holding down a button to activate might not be as immediate to use as you'd wish. Unfortunately, Nayuta Kai doesn't make full use of the PS4's pad, with some buttons left unassigned and some functions duplicated. Platforming can get a bit tricky at times due to the fixed camera, but the penalties for falling into a bottomless pit aren't particularly harsh. It's just annoying to botch a jump because you couldn't exactly figure out how things were laid out in the game's world. There aren't many boss battles, but all of them are epic and put to good use the various techniques learned. These battles are on par, or even superior, to what Falcom did with some of their more recent action games, and are the definite highlight of Nayuta Kai. Describing them in detail would be a disservice to everyone wanting to play the game, but let's just say that with the exception of one rather mundane fight, you'll be looking forward to these encounters. As with all Falcom games bearing the Kai suffix, Nayuta no Kiseki is a straight port with only minor quality of life improvements, so you get minimal voice acting, grainy videos and the same 3D models and textures of the original. Nayuta Kai does look outdated, but it doesn't look bad. Sure, textures have been simply upscaled and not redrawn, animations are basic, and some of the larger enemies aren't anti-aliased, but the artistic direction shines through these shortcomings and will deliver some impressive visuals, especially during the final part of the game. Little touches like shopkeepers reacting to you buying stuff or not add a lot of charm to the presentation. The small number of armors and weapons available also means that any and all changes are reflected on Nayuta and Noi. Team JDK delivers an impressive soundtrack ranging from melancholic ballads to high-tempo rock pieces, and is the perfect companion for a game with so few spoken lines as Nayuta no Kiseki. Voices are good, although I found Krea's voice a bit out of character. I expected something a bit more mature due to her looks.
ありがとう、ナユタ。
Nayuta no Kiseki Kai is currently only available in Japan on PlayStation 4. A Western version, named The Legend of Nayuta Boundless Trails, has already been announced by Nipponichi America for 2023 and will appear on Switch and PC, in addition to PS4. I'm a bit disappointed that we'll have to wait around 2 years for an official translation, but I'm also pleased to see minor Falcom games getting the attention they deserve, and Nipponichi America announced the two Crossbell games and Dajimari no Kiseki in between now and this game's translation, and I'll take a long wait over another Art on Helico 2 or Is 8 debacle. Overall, Nayuta no Kiseki Kai is a very fun game to play, with a simple yet rewarding combat system and enough variety to keep interest high through its duration. It's not as complex and varied as later Falcon games, but it's a few steps above Gurmil, for example, and almost on par with the Is games on the PSP. The story is light-hearted, the characters are charming, and it's done with the usual care you'd expect from Falcon. My main gripe as a Western gamer is that we only get it now, and as a result it's only a good game, while if it came out back in 2012, it would have been close to excellent. Anyway, if you like Falcom and action games, you do not want to pass up on Nayuta no Kiseki Kai. I hope you have enjoyed this review and you'll stick around for more. Briareos Karensky, over and out.
上出来だね。